Okay. Hi, it's Dave of Redline Performance. I was going to do a very quick preliminary installation video on our Redline TreeBangerPro Turbo Kit for the Skidoo XM, which is 2013 to 2016. Again, this is just a preliminary video because there's a few kits out there this year, so we want to make sure people have what they need. So this is a half pre-assembled sled here. So as you can see here, we've got the air box. It comes pre-assembled with your injectors, which the injectors aren't shown here. But you'll need to pull out the two here, and you'll put in the two screws. Okay. And then again, you'll put in a 1/2-inch hose clamp here, a 2-inch hose. Your charge tube will go around here, down around into the turbo. Again, put two 2-inch hose clamps here. We supply you with a long coupler. You can shorten it down like we've done to make it nice and clean, and attach the two. The second thing to take note of is once you kind of slid the assembly in here that's pre-assembled, you will notice that you have to attach the two springs. So attach your two springs here, one on the right side, one on the left side. And again, this is not a fully assembled turbo, but yours will be. So you'll have all the oil lines and everything connected. You'll have an oil tank sitting underneath here. You'll just fill it to within about a finger width from the top. That just gives us a bit of room to work with it, okay? The second thing is, of course, attach your spring at the rear that holds the turbo in place, and also ensure that it's kind of hard to see, but in the back in there is a little holder that connects onto the frame and just holds. Okay, so that kind of gets the main plumbing. Also, please take note on here, on your on your exhaust, you'll need to put 3 springs per side. So that will ensure that you don't have any situation where the pipe starts to waste and pull off. Okay. The second thing I want to make note of here, which is very, very important, is underneath here, you can see from the front here, we have our rave pop valve, which is the compressor pop valve, and that connects into the bottom side of the solenoid. Okay, so on the bottom of the rave solenoid, so if you follow the little sense lines here that come off your rave solenoid, okay, and it goes down to that little solenoid, it's the line coming off the bottom of that solenoid. You're going to cut it about 1 inch from there and place the supplied T and the blow-off valve in there. That ensures you don't overboost the solenoids, okay? Again, same thing here. This is our charge inlet. So you'll put a 3-inch band clamp on both sides of the two elbows. On both sides of the two elbows on the inlet. Very simple and straightforward. Your charge tube comes up here. This is where you have to make a hole in your air box, okay? And then the other thing you need to make note of is you need to hook up coolant lines, okay? Coolant lines that go to the turbo are very, very simple. There is a line coming from just behind the mag side top injector on the top of the head, okay? Just behind there is a 5-way plastic manifold that has coolant coming out of it, okay? Out of that comes one line that goes to right here on the coolant bottle. So find this line, take the whole line off, take it off at the coolant bottle, and then go back to that manifold and undo it, and be very, 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 very careful. That manifold is very brittle plastic and they break very easily. Be super, super careful pulling it off. Then once it's off, take the supplied line, which is the short coolant line that has the banjo connection on it for the side of the turbo. The short one goes onto the back of that manifold, which you took off, that goes to the coolant. That goes on the left side of the turbo, route it down kind of underneath the frame and come up, and then attach it with your 19mm bolts in the banjo. The other line goes on the other side of the turbo, which is right here, and right here. We'll attach here and go down, around, and around the tank, and then connect up to the top, right here, of the coolant tank. That completes your coolant circuit, okay? Now, in another video, we talked about how to hook up the Redline Performance Forced Induction Tuner to fuel your needs for the turbo kit. So please refer to that video on how to hook that up. Okay. Now some other things you may want to note, just specific stuff on this model. This is just zip tied here, but we basically just placed this model right here. We just placed it on the side. You are of course welcome to place it in any situation that you like, but make sure it's dry and doesn't see a lot of vibration and isn't susceptible to damage. Okay. The other thing I want to mention here is with all turbo setups, when you put a fuel controller on, run a dedicated line for the map sensor. So take a look here. This is the map line sensor, okay? So it goes down into, on the top of these little, brass bungs. If you pull these off, there's just a little brass tip there. So you're going to connect to that, but you're going to go straight to this box. Okay, we'll supply a little piece of boost hose for you. We don't want to have the blow-off valve connected on this one. So just one dedicated connection for the box. That gives you the best response, okay? The other side, there's one connector on the other side, and you're going to run a small line out of the other side, and that's going to go up to your blow-off valve, and that's going to go to your boost gauge. It'll be mounted behind here if you upgraded the gauge kit, okay? So we're still manufacturing this charge pipe here, but on the front of this pipe there will be a little aluminum tip, and this is where your blow-off valve will go, and that's where you need to take the line from the right side of the carburetor, or throttle body rather, and run it up to your blow-off valve, and then you'll have a supplied T that goes up to your boost gauge, okay? Now, in the instructions for the Innovate air fuel gauge, that will have everything that you need in there telling you how to hook that up, okay? So it's be a positive and negative, and then you hook up your map sensor, and there's a calibration procedure that you need to follow, okay? Clutching is very straightforward. Put in the Redline ramps, the turbo ramps, and then you just put in, you can give me a shout depending on what boost you want to run, and I'll tell you how much weight to run. There's also a number of different options that we offer for different size rollers and clutch upgrade kits. Again, also all the kits come with a spring that's necessary to put the spring in. You don't need to change anything on the secondary, okay? So that covers the installation of the air box, the charge tube, mounting the turbo assembly, the intake, and the rave bleed off, okay? One last thing I do want to show is on this side over here, you can come around here. On these, they will come pre-assembled with the injectors sticking up, and there'll be a fuel rail here, and there'll be a line sticking out. This is where we want to put the T, guys. So when you put this T on here, just connect on to the one line that has this connector on there, okay? Okay. So and this one goes all the way over to the front. Let's show them exactly where it goes. So this kind of comes down around here and then connects to the front on top of the injector. So that's the line you want to tie into, because there are two lines here. So the other line is the one that has the fuel filter, tie into this one, okay? And now something to note, something to be very careful with on the Skidoo, this is a capacitor. You don't want anything rubbing there, you'll start a fire. So what we do is once we've installed these T's, we wrap everything and make sure there's no metal that's going to rub against that capacitor. It's very important, okay? The other thing I want to show you is just a little wiring trick that we have on the Skidoo. If you have a battery and you've got an E-Start model, your battery of course will be sitting here, and you can't tie into these lines that are up here. So I'll show you that in a minute or a time. But if you have just this model, standard pull cord model, you can tie into this here. We can supply you with a little a spade connector that goes into the back, and you can connect it, or you can solder in here, but you need to fuse it. Okay, so that's where you can tie into your power. So when you pull the cord, that will power your gauge, that will power the box, and you also need to run power to the pump that's on the bottom. Okay, the other side of the oil pump, you just take it to the ground on the chassis and just put an eyelet and just ground it down, okay? The only other thing I wanted to show you, on the E-Start models, there is a little auxiliary connector at the top that's up here. You can use this to supply the power to all of your accessories on the turbo kit if you have an E-Start model, because this will become switched once the vehicle is running, okay? So that should cover the basics. If you guys have any more questions, or if you're doing anything special, or you've got a built motor, or running any like big boosts or anything like that, give us a shout here at Redline Performance. We'll be happy to help you out with that. The number here is 403-396-1443. Thanks.